It all started with a leak. Neither a deluge nor a disaster. A steady, unhurried drip emanates from the kitchen sink, as though my home is gently nudging me to remember that nothing endures without care. At the age of 44, I had honed my skills in maintenance to an art form. I upheld the schedules. I upheld the facade. I upheld a union that had long since lost its vibrancy. My husband toiled for long hours, returning home weary, and the closest connection we experienced recently was a silence that lingered over the dinner table. As the faucet started its rhythmic dripping, plink, 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 I reassured myself that it was merely another item on the extensive list of tasks awaiting my attention. I reached out to the nearby plumbing service. A bright and upbeat woman on the phone exclaimed, "We'll have one of our team members there in no time. You are well taken care of." I had no idea at the time just how literal that would turn out to be. He made his entrance an hour later. 28, perhaps even younger. Muscular arms clad in a gray t-shirt, a tool bag casually draped over one shoulder. His smile greeted me as I opened the door, momentarily erasing the words I had prepared to say. "Good afternoon, ma'am," he greeted, his tone inviting and relaxed. "Did you reach out regarding a sink that's leaking?" "Indeed," I replied, moving to the side. "It resides in the kitchen. This direction." He entered behind me, the scent of metal and soap lingering in his wake. As he knelt beneath the sink, I found my gaze drawn to the way his shirt clung to his back, the subtle sheen of sweat glistening at the nape of his neck. I berated myself for it. I found myself a married woman, significantly older than him, perhaps even old enough to have been his teacher, or in a different existence his mother. As he reclined on his back beneath the sink, flashlight clutched in hand, my ankle grazed his arm while I handed him a towel. My body responded instinctively, before my mind had the chance to intervene. A flicker, subtle yet unmistakable, ignited in the space between us. "Apologies for that," he remarked, looking up at me with a playful smile. His gaze held for an instant longer than necessary before shifting back to the pipes. "It's fine," I responded, perhaps a bit too hastily. I occupied myself with the ritual of brewing tea, attempting to divert my gaze from him. Yet, each metallic clink of his tools, each low grunt as he secured a fitting, broke the stillness in my home, a stillness that had lingered for years. Upon completion, he rose and cleaned his hands with a rag, leaving delicate traces on his sun-kissed skin. "Everything is ready," he remarked. "Why not give it a shot?" I activated the tap. The water cascaded smoothly and transparently, without a single drip or leak to disturb its course. After weeks of frustration, a rare moment of perfection unfolded within my home. "Thank you," I said, my words carrying a weight that extended far beyond mere gratitude for the sink. "No problem." He leaned against the counter, his presence lingering, the subtle aroma of soap mingling with the warmth of sweat filling the air between us. "Is there anything else in this place that requires attention?" I chuckled, though the sound was tinged with anxiety too piercing. "I believe that's all there is." Yet that evening, as I lay in bed next to my slumbering husband, a distinct drip reached my ears. Not from the tap, but from deep within me. An unwavering, persistent indication that a fracture had begun to form within me. And I sensed, without grasping the reason, that the man who repaired my sink had already shattered something far more perilous. The sink was not meant to fail once more. Yet, 2 weeks later it appeared once more. A languid, mocking drip. I found myself in the kitchen, gazing at it, a chuckle bubbling up at the irony of the situation. With my husband away on yet another business trip, the stillness of the house enveloped me like a heavy blanket. The solitary sound was that drip, plink, plink, resonating like a challenge. I reassured myself that it was merely a stroke of misfortune, a flaw in the plumbing. As I dialed the number for the repair service, I became acutely aware of the trembling in my hands. As the dispatcher assured, "We'll send someone out right away," I found myself praying, albeit with a hint of shame, that it would be him. Indeed it was. He strolled in, wearing that familiar easy grin, a tool bag casually draped over his shoulder as if it were weightless. "Looks like your sink has been longing for my presence," he quipped, crouching back down to the pipes as if he had never departed. I ought to have rolled my eyes, perhaps offered a polite chuckle. Instead I sensed a warmth swell within me, a restless energy that pulsed with life. While he toiled away, I remained in the kitchen, savoring the moment. Excessively near, unmistakably clear. I offered him tools he hadn't requested. I posed inquiries that held no real interest for me. What precisely causes it to leak in that manner? For how long have you been engaged in this type of work? Merely to listen to the sound of his voice. He responded with a calm demeanor, occasionally lifting his gaze to meet mine, his expression revealing much. Not the appearance of a lad mending pipes. The expression of a man fully aware of the impact he wielded. In a fleeting moment, he emerged from beneath the sink to retrieve a wrench, his arm grazing mine as he rose to his feet. The contact was fleeting, unintended, yet it still stole my breath away. He observed, "Are you all right?" He inquired, his tone softened this time. I nodded a bit too eagerly, redirecting my gaze to the counter as though the granite could offer me refuge. "Just hot in here." He let out a soft laugh, brushing the sweat from his brow. "Indeed. Pipes have a knack for causing us headaches when the humidity rises. They possess a remarkable talent for creating discomfort." The manner in which he spoke, the intensity of his gaze locked onto mine, sent a flutter of unease through my stomach. Upon his completion, I extended the invitation of tea once more. It had become a routine, perhaps even a sacred practice. We lingered at the table, steam swirling in the air between us. This time the silence held a comfortable weight. It weighed down on me, dense and suffocating, tugging at a part of my soul that had long been dormant. "Is your husband not here?" he inquired nonchalantly, swirling his cup. "He's engaged in his tasks," I said. That solitary term bore an overwhelming burden. He nodded with a deliberate slowness, as though the knowledge was already familiar to him. Numbers. Often, individuals overlook what lies directly before them. I felt a strong urge to inquire about his meaning, yet a lingering fear of the response held me back. As he rose to depart, I accompanied him to the threshold. He paused in the doorway, his hand lightly touching the frame, our eyes locking in a gaze that seemed far too personal for two individuals meant to be unfamiliar with one another. "Reach out to me if it happens again," he remarked, and I loathed myself for daring to hope that it might. That night, as I lay in bed, I found myself unable to shake off the vivid memories. His hand grazing against mine, the deepening timbre of his voice, the way his gaze seemed to delve into me, as if he were mending more than just a simple faucet. The sink was fixed. Yet a profound force, something hidden, was emerging within me. The third time was not about plumbing. The rain fell softly. A fierce summer storm swept in, darkening the sky to a deep, ominous black and filling the air with a crackling energy. Home alone as always. My husband had taken off for Chicago that morning, assuring me he'd call if he could. I had long since stopped holding my breath for those calls. As I filled a glass with wine, the sound of the doorbell interrupted the moment. And there he stood. It seems my neighbor remarked that our gutters were overflowing, water cascading down like a shattered dam. He had spotted it during his journey home and extended his assistance before it could inundate the side of the house. He remained rooted to the spot, droplets cascading from his hair, his shirt clinging to his torso, tool bag firmly grasped in his hand. "I couldn't let your basement become a swimming pool," he remarked, his grin igniting a flutter in my chest. I ought to have refused him. I ought to have mentioned that I would reach out to a service tomorrow. Yet the words lingered, trapped in my throat, and I found myself merely stepping aside. "I appreciate it," I murmured. For the next hour, he battled the storm outside, scaling ladders and clearing clogged drains, the relentless water drenching him to the bone. I lingered by the window, a silent observer, captivated by the way his muscles tensed, his concentration unwavering. As he stepped through the door, water dripped from him. His shirt clung to his skin, and his jeans weighed him down with the relentless rain. I rushed to fetch towels, adamant that he would catch a cold if he lingered in that state. He chuckled gently. "You remind me of my mother," he remarked, accepting the towel while maintaining unwavering eye contact. I asked him to hold on as I searched for a dry shirt, my husband's worn college sweatshirt. As I passed it to him, our fingers lightly touched. That seemingly harmless touch sent a chill coursing through me. "The bathroom is down the hall," I said briskly, pivoting away. Yet he remained still. He remained there, a towel hanging from his shoulders, droplets of rain cascading from his hair. His gaze locked onto mine. "You don't have to pretend," he murmured, his voice barely rising above the tempest outside. I stood still, caught in a moment of sheer disbelief. "What are we pretending? I hope you don't feel this way either." The words pierced my soul with the force of a storm. My heart pounded, my body tense. I wished to dismiss it, to chuckle it away, yet my quietude revealed the truth. He moved nearer, just within reach, allowing me to sense the warmth emanating from his drenched skin. "It seems you've carried the weight of solitude for quite some time," he whispered softly. "I perceive it." And dear heavens, he was indeed correct. A fissure formed within me. The memories of sleepless nights in vacant beds, solitary dinners consumed in silence, and the quiet tears shed in the kitchen surged forth, enveloping the space around me until I struggled to catch my breath. I murmured the sole truth I possessed. "This cannot occur." Yet, despite my words attempting to create distance, my body gravitated toward him. He hadn't laid a finger on me, not at this moment. He simply regarded me, his eyes firm, resolute. "Then command me to leave," he murmured gently. "If you command me to step through that door, I shall do so." Yet I refrained. I was unable to. The tempest outside battered the windows, yet the true turmoil raged within me. For the first time in years, a surge of life coursed through me. Fearful, quaking, yet undeniably alive. That was the night I ceased the charade. The rain continued to fall relentlessly. It thrashed against the windows with a rhythmic intensity, mirroring the frantic cadence of my heartbeat. He lingered just inches away, droplets cascading from his hair, the towel in his grasp yet untouched, as if time had paused in that moment. His presence enveloped the room. Each breath he drew appeared to draw me nearer. "Just say the word," he murmured once more. "Instruct me to depart." I parted my lips, yet silence enveloped me. My throat felt parched and a weight pressed against my chest. For years I had taken pride in being the resilient one, the unwavering one, the woman who never faltered. Yet, in that instant I found myself quaking as if I were a mere girl half my years. My quietude spoke volumes. He extended his hand with deliberate slowness, as if I were made of glass, fragile and poised to break at the slightest haste. His fingers grazed my cheek, merely a whisper of contact, imbued with a sense of reverence. It felt like an eternity since anyone had caressed me in that manner. Unhurried, not negligent, simply observing me. I shut my eyes. As his thumb glided along the edge of my lips, a wave of weakness washed over my knees. I ought to have taken a step back, to have reminded him and myself of my identity, someone's wife, someone's neighbor. Instead, I surrendered to his touch, revealing the depths of my inner conflict. He whispered my name then, not ma'am, not Mrs., not even a casual nickname. My name is a reflection of my identity. His words wrapped around me, rekindling a sense of ownership, transforming it from a mere title of a frigid union into something that felt intimately mine once more. "I can't," I whispered, the protest faltering, lacking conviction even in my own ears. "There's no need for an explanation," he remarked. His voice had a gritty edge, as if he were restraining every impulse within him. "I want you to understand that you are seen." The weight of those words shattered me. Unseen. I had transformed into mere background noise within my own home, a shadow drifting through the monotonous rituals of a marriage that had long ceased to feel like one. Before I could rein them in, the tears flowed freely. Seething, furious, urgent tears. I averted my gaze, feeling a wave of embarrassment wash over me for shedding tears in his presence. Yet he did not flinch. He maintained his composure. He moved in closer, his arms encircling me, powerful and comforting, shielding me as if the tempest beyond could never reach us. And I allowed him to proceed. I pressed my face into his chest, the cool, damp fabric of his shirt contrasting sharply with my warm skin. Yet his embrace remained firm and unwavering. I inhaled his essence, the subtle aroma of rain, perspiration, and an unexpected longing security. It was merely an embrace. That is precisely what I reminded myself. Simply an embrace. Yet my hands deceived me, grasping the fabric of his shirt, holding on to him as if I were submerged beneath the waves. As I finally lifted my gaze, I realized our faces were uncomfortably close. My breath froze in my throat, and for a fleeting moment time itself seemed to pause. The storm, the house, all fell silent, leaving only the charged air between us. Process what was happening. His hand gently cupped the back of my neck, while mine wove into his damp shirt, and the tempest outside appeared to fade away. The only sounds that filled the air were the rhythm of our breaths, the pulse of blood coursing through my ears, and the exhilarating thrill of being touched once more. As his lips parted from mine, he leaned his forehead against my temple, his breath coming in heavy bursts. "Please tell me to stop," he murmured once more. His voice carried a sense of urgency, as if he relied on me to exercise the control he lacked. Yet I refrained. I allowed him to lift me, to carry me down the familiar narrow hallway I had traversed countless times as a wife, yet never as this woman, this incarnation of myself I believed had perished long ago. The desired version. That was painful. That was painful. It unfolded at a measured pace. What astonished me the most was that he moved as if every touch, every kiss, was a cherished fantasy brought to life, something he had longed for but never believed he could possess. For the first time in many years I experienced the sensation of being revered. The hours melded into one another. The tempest howled, yet we pressed forward undeterred. Once it concluded, the stillness was overwhelming. My body still vibrated with energy, my heart racing. Yet the weight of reality settled in like the dawn's first light following a restless night. I found myself sprawled in my shared bed, the sheets a chaotic mess, my skin still radiating warmth from the touch of another's hands. He sat at the edge of the bed, his head cradled in his hands, shoulders taut with unspoken weight. "What have we accomplished?" I finally murmured. He faced me, his eyes brimming with a mix of wonder and remorse. An irrevocable moment. The air was thick with unspoken thoughts. I wrapped the blanket tightly around myself, feeling a chill seep in, even though the warmth had enveloped us moments before. I reflected on my husband, on the years of devotion that now lay shattered before me. "I don't regret you," he murmured, as if unveiling a secret that danced between guilt and hope. "Yet, I find myself lamenting the world we must return to." He departed before the first light of dawn, slipping away as silently as he had come, the storm fading into a hushed stillness in his wake. For days I revisited each moment, the way he embraced me, the way he looked at me. I reassured myself that it was merely a storm, just a single night to endure. Yet, with each creak of the house and every distant clap of thunder, a profound longing tightened around my chest. Then arrived the unexpected turn that took me by surprise. The next week, my husband came back from his business trip. As we gathered around the table for dinner, an oppressive weight of guilt hung in the air. He placed his fork on the table, regarded me intently, and remarked, "Oh, by the way, you won't believe who dropped in on me at the office. The offspring of the neighbor. Intelligent child." I mentioned to him that there could be some opportunities for him within the company. Chills coursed through my veins. He was returning to my life, not as a tempest, not as an error, but as a lingering shadow I would never be able to evade. In that instant it became clear to me. The sink was not the sole casualty of his actions. He had shattered my resolve, my quietude, and the delicate barriers I had constructed around a marriage that was already on the verge of collapse. The tempest had subsided, yet within me it was merely the onset of turmoil.